In less than 1 month, UONE stock has climbed over 3,000% and has a ton of hype around it right now. In just the past week, thousands of Robinhood investors have flooded into the stock to catch this momentum run, and I'm sure a lot of them are sitting with some pretty good profits right now, and it's really hard not to when the stock has moved up so far so fast. So this stock actually trades under two different ticker symbols, UONE, which is the Class A shares, which has voting rights, and then you have UONEK, which is the Class D shares with non-voting rights. And really, as a regular retail investor, it does not really matter which one of these two ticker symbols you choose to go with if you want to invest in this company. So in this video, I want to cover first off what all the hype is around this stock. Second, I want to keep it fairly unbiased here and talk about both the bull and bear cases for this company right now. And then third, I will talk about whether I think it's too late to get into the stock right now as an investment, and if I was holding the stock right now, what my game plan would be. So guys, it's gonna be a fun, informative video. Drop a like down below, subscribe, you guys know the drill. But either way, let's get into it. As always, I like starting off by looking at the company from a very high level to get a better understanding of what this investment is. So let's start there. So UONE is a media company that's primarily focused on the African American community to inform, entertain, and inspire. They focus on providing culturally relevant integrated content through a few different media channels, including radio, TV, and digital platforms. The company is really proud, and rightfully so, to be the only, quote, integrated media company focused on Black culture. And with pretty much what's going on in America right now, this company is really positioned well to succeed right now, and it's brought a lot of attention, or hype if you will, to their stock and their platform as a result, and this has of course led to the stock gaining over 3,000% gains in less than a month. And guys, this company is not exactly small either with their reach. They have over 20 million unique visitors, 200 million streams from their app, have reached about 82% of the African American population, and they've had over 40 million video streams. There has been a ton of exposure with this company through their media, and many investors believe with the events happening right now, they're poised to succeed because this could be a fundamental shift in their business. So at this point, I think we all have an understanding now what this business is, and I'd say it's a pretty interesting business. It seems like media companies are pretty much all the rage these days, from, Disney to the most recent one we talked about on the channel, Genius Brands, and now of course we have UONE. And with more people than ever spending time at home, this niche that UONE caters to is definitely one that can be extremely successful for them over time. I'll also add that because the stock has been seeing a ton of success lately, it's been getting a lot of attention that, people like me who've never heard of the company before now have started looking into this business. And I think a lot of consumers will also be curious about what this company is and what's offered on their platform. So this could indirectly lead to them gaining a ton of new subscribers and viewers, which in turn, of course, will change their business for the better over the long term. Now, what I do like about this company and want to note is that this is not your hype IPO stock. This company has been public since 1999, and the recent price movement has pushed this company to new all-time highs, which again is thanks to all the publicity around the events going on in America that's helping this company indirectly. Now I want to spend a few minutes discussing the bull and bear cases, and if you're an investor in the stock or considering investing in the stock, this is where you want to pay close attention to, because you want to understand the business, what's good about the business, what could hurt the business, and that'll help you make a decision on if this is a good investment or not. So the first bull case I have here is that they're a niche media company, and this niche will only grow, in my opinion, over time. There isn't much competition in this space either, and this is really their niche to be the #1 player in. The second bull case is what I mentioned a few times, is that they're getting a ton of media attention right now, and this could result in some long-term success for the business as their core audience will most likely grow. The third bull case is that they currently already are a profitable business, and with all of this new attention, it could help them grow these profits quite substantially. Revenues have been a bit flat, but again, this could be the push that the company needs to really set them back in growth mode and continue growing over the next few years. Also, when looking at their balance sheet, it's pretty decent, I must say, and they are growing their assets faster than they're growing their liabilities, so this is always a plus to see. They have a good amount of cash on hand, but they also have a big chunk of long-term debt, so that's just a little thing to keep an eye on as well. Since it's a long term though, I would not be too concerned about this debt, but it is something to make note of. So I'd say we have a pretty strong, compelling bull case here. It's a good business. It's been around for a long time. It's not your typical hype stock, penny stock that we see out there. And they have a model that has been proven over time. So all of this new publicity can only help them, not hurt them. But of course, we got to see both sides of the coin here before we put in any money into any investment. So what are some bear cases? The first and most obvious to me is that the success that they're seeing right now could end up being just a blip and could fizzle out fairly quickly, not resulting in any long-term benefits for the company or sustained growth over the long term for the company. But really, to see if this is the case or not, it'll take a few months to show, so we can't really deduce at this point here today whether the success they're seeing and the publicity that they're getting will help the brand over time. The second risk I see is that it's a very tiny business still. This is a company that pulls in around $450 million in revenue, which isn't too bad, but when you look at their net income, we can see that in 2018 it was very skewed because of income tax returns that they got. In 2019, it was more normalized once again and was a big difference here. So going forward, guys, I think that we can expect returns more like in 2019 than we did in 2018. Also, make note that Urban One has a fairly small market cap here, so it can easily be influenced in terms of its price movements, and of course we've seen that from the volatility that the stock has shown recently. So that's another risk I would take into account here if I was looking into this as an investment. So I would say, both the bulls and bears have a pretty good argument here, but there are more bullish cases, in my opinion, that kind of tilt me more towards that direction. This does not mean that the risks that we're seeing with the bear case can't play out, but I just think that with the momentum that they're building right now, with the free publicity, media attention, all of that stuff, it could actually fundamentally change this business. But this, of course, leads me to that all-encompassing question. Is this stock still a buy here today? Is it too late to buy the stock? And if I was holding the stock, what would I do with my investment? So it's pretty obvious that the stock is moving today on momentum, but I have a feeling that the momentum is starting to fade out. I think that if I wanted to buy this company and I missed the run at this point, it's extremely risky to buy in at these prices, as there's a much higher chance of the stock declining, even if it's a temporary decline, than continue moving higher. We went from $2 to $50 in 5 trading days. And remember, at current valuations and current prices, you're paying the highest premium that this company has ever seen in its history. So you really have to truly believe in the business, you have to truly believe in what the company is doing, and you have to truly believe that what's happening right now will be a fundamental shift for the better for the business to really help kickstart them back into growth. Of course, today at this point, we're not going to know how all of this plays out, but their next earnings report is going to be extremely important for investors because everyone's going to be paying close attention to see what effects all of this attention has had on their business. If they come out and say, you know what, we saw some massive growth, tons of new users on the platform, all this publicity helped us out a ton, the stock has a chance to possibly run much higher. However, if they come out and say, you know what, we did see a spike, but it started fizzling out, and towards the end of the month, we saw it down significantly from when it was at the peak, then that's a sign that this could just be a short blip of publicity that helped the company temporarily, and it may not last over the long term, which could result in the stock price taking a massive nosedive. So would I personally buy the stock here today? No, I don't think so, because I see the valuation and I see that you're paying a very premium dollars at this point to bet on this company to continue moving higher. But like I said, it's all dependent, in my opinion, on the next earnings report and how that goes. And now I'm not going to go as far as to say that the stock is overvalued at today's prices, because if this is a fundamental shift in the business, then it could be fairly valued or even undervalued. But again, there's just too many unknowns to make that decision right now. So now the second part of the question, if I was holding the stock today, what would I personally do with my investment? So say I bought into the stock around $10, $20 and I'm up quite significantly, I would personally cover my principal investment at minimum. So if I invested $100 and I'm up to like $150 or $200, I would sell out enough shares to get back around $100 what I initially paid. Then I'd let that remaining amount just continue to ride, whether it continues going up or not doesn't really matter. The stock right now at this point is more of a bet. It's not really an investment, and you're pretty much betting that the next earnings report or the next couple of weeks building up to the earnings report will continue being very strong on the hype and momentum front here. However, on the flip side, if I bought at the peak, say around $50 per share, then of course I'm in a very awkward position now, and I'd have to make a decision on whether this company does make sense for me. If that's the case, if this was the position I was in, I would really spend time looking through their annual report, trying to understand the business, and try to figure out, you know what, maybe I made a mistake buying into the company, but after learning more about it, I do believe in its long-term prospects. I do believe in the valuation long-term, so I'm going to continue holding. But if after reading that report, you find, you know what, I don't think this is a good business to invest in, I think the price I paid was just way too high, then maybe it makes sense to actually cut your losses. One thing I would possibly do is probably set like a stop loss, so maybe around $20, $25. So if the stock price drops to that level, it automatically sells, cuts out my losses, and I just move on to the next speculative play. Of course, though, you guys know me, I rarely invest in spec stocks. I have a couple of them in my investing account, but that's not my primary focus because I do understand that over the long term, it's not sustainable. Yes, it's fun right now. Yes, it's fun to see, 100, 200,000% gains. But if you're expecting that to sustain over the long term, it's probably not going to happen. Building a stock on pure momentum and hype is pretty much placing a bet on that stock. It's like going to a casino and saying, you know what, I'm going to bet on black. And you know what, maybe you end up winning on black, maybe it ends up on red. You end up losing all of it. That's kind of what it's like here with these kind of stocks that move up significantly in just a few days. Now, like I said, this is not like your typical spec stocks that I've seen in the last few weeks. It does have a good underlying business to it. So over time, this could be a good investment. That's for you to decide. I've presented the information to you. I've presented my bull and bear cases to you. So at this point, I'd love to hear where you stand with the stock here today. I want to know if you bought into the stock in the last week, and if you did you end up selling out? Did you make a profit? Or are you continuing to hold for possibly higher prices in the next few weeks? Of course, I wish each and every one of you the best of luck here. I don't want to see any one of you losing any capital, but sometimes these bets just don't work out. That's just the reality of the situation. And if you're making these kind of bets, you should understand that risk before putting in even a penny. Guys, let me know in the comment section down below, regardless of what your stance is on Urban One. I'd love to hear that. And if you want me to continue making videos like this, which are more, I would say, news-related videos, but still have some value to it, let me know that in the comment section down below as well, and I'll continue doing that for as long as you guys enjoy it. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.